Hi there, how's it going? It's Justin with another fun episode of the Good Vibes Only YouTube channel that I've started. Going over some Turo stuff today. Hope everyone's had a great week. Happy Saturday to us all. What I wanted to go over today is a little bit of the rating system that Turo hosts and guests use. Similar to Airbnb, where after your trip is over, both the host and the guest will end up rating their experience based off of a number of different factors of how the trip went. This serves as kind of a good accountability system, I think, where, you know, if a guest has something to warn future guests about a host or vice versa, they can put it in there. But hopefully what we're keeping in mind as Turo hosts is that we are trying to create an experience for people. It's not just a car rental, hopefully. Hopefully we're going above and beyond by giving really clear instructions of how to get the car. Hopefully we're describing the features of the car. Hopefully we're responding quickly to any questions that guests might have. I think it's important as Turo hosts to put ourselves into a guest's shoes. Let's say, and this is, I think, most guests on the platform, they've never used Turo before. What to expect? How is this different from traditional rental car? Are you giving me the keys directly? How do you check my license? How do you answer questions? All those things are important. I'll get a little bit more into the details as we kind of go through this video here. I think the rating system that I've been able to maintain as an all-star host on the platform with really good ratings comes down to kind of that customer service perspective of making sure that our guests are enjoying what's happening and they're aware of what's happening, and if any rare issues come up, that they're taken care of, addressed, and answered in both like a satisfactory way and in a way that makes our guests raving fans of the platform rather than just kind of adequately happy with their service. I think there's a big level of service difference there. And what we want to try to do, hopefully, as Turo hosts, is make people love their experience so much that they are more than happy to refer their friends to try Turo the next time they rent. They're more than happy to do Turo again, rather than kind of like the meh experience that I see sometimes in social media groups for Turo hosts, where unfortunately you'll kind of see Turo hosts sometimes be like, oh, this was the guest from hell, they had all these questions, they needed all this hand holding. It's like, well, fine. Who cares? Answer the questions. Make sure that people are having a good experience. I get it too. Like I have a day job and other businesses that I run, so I know that it is a time drag sometimes to answer questions, but that's also what we're here for. I am looking forward to expanding the business at some point to hire employees, but when that happens, I want to be able to really confidently tell the people that I hire that the things that I'm training them to do, I'm more than happy to do myself. So I look at this as a silver lining, as being able to practice those things myself and try to create the best possible experience that I can for my Turo guests. So with that, we'll get right into it. You'll see most of the time when Turo guests are responding to their trip and rating their trip, a lot of the times, instead of writing about the car, they're actually going to be reviewing the host. So I think that's important to keep in mind, that can be a positive or a negative. Hopefully every review that you have, you're aware that it's possible that you're going to be reviewed as a Turo host. So you go above and beyond in your communication, in your explanations to guests, so that you get a good review at the end of the trip. But more importantly, that the experience is good for the guest. Now, the car portion of the review, have you checked the tires recently? How much brake pad is left? Do you give the guest the car with a full tank of gas? Is it clean? Is it disinfected? I know we still have kind of the COVID stuff going on. All of that stuff's important. Like, imagine if you were the guest and you picked up your car and it was kind of dirty from last trip. That kind of sucks, right? Imagine you're super excited for the driving part of your portion of your trip. You just flew into LAX, you're picking up the car, and the gas tank's half full. It's like, okay, now you have to stop at a gas tank first. It's like, well, a lot of these things as hosts, we can kind of like set people up for having a good experience by making sure the car is as clean and ready, if not better, than you would want it as a guest as well. Important things to keep in mind. How the review system works for Turo is it's going to keep track of your quarterly results to see if you qualify to be an all-star host, to where your listings are at the top of search pages. It gives you an extra badge on your vehicles to show potential guests that you are taking the platform seriously and have achieved that status. So on your ratings and reviews section of your Turo site for a host, it'll keep track of over the last 365 days what your average ratings have been like, and then what your number of each star looks like. So see, for mine, it's keeping track of, over the last year, 49 trips over a variety of different vehicles. Well, you guys can see in previous and future videos like what my fleet looks like, but it's ranged up to 3 cars. I hope to get it up to 5, 6, 7 at some point next year. That's the goal. Over the 49 trips, you'll see that the people that haven't rated their trips at all is 17% of that. So whatever math whiz is out there watching these videos, I think it's like 9 or 10 of the trips haven't been rated at all. What I do is I set an automated message about 24 hours before the trip ends of, hey, if you return the car and ready to rent status, I will actually give you a discount on your next trip. And if you had a good experience with me in the vehicle, I would appreciate a review, as the Turo ecosystem heavily relies on reviews. So despite that automated message, not everyone will leave reviews. Fine, no problem. Reviews are not required, it is optional. 1, 2, and 3 stars. 0 for these 49 trips. I have had a 2-star review before. I think it was my second Turo trip, before I had things like automated messaging and before I had the experience I have now. I ran into challenges with that Turo guest because I also didn't have the correct lockbox to fit the vehicle's key. So very good learning experiences, especially because the rating system is so important on a peer-to-peer sharing program like Turo is. Luckily, in my case, reviews are only kept for a year. So that trip was over a year ago, so you'll see that that's kind of like, in a way, wiped clean off of the averages. Like, you'll see that 2% of the trips, I think it was 1 trip, rated it at 4 stars, and then 81% of the reviews came back at 5 stars. A lot of people have a good experience with my cars and the way that I kind of conduct the business, which makes me feel good. It's always good to see repeat customers come in too. So you'll see that's an average overall rating of 4.98, which I think is better than my Uber rating right now, which is probably a story for another time. This will be, next couple slides, just examples of kind of the reviews people leave. So you see this one's for the Volt. It's a plug-in hybrid, which is a hugely popular car with gas prices being in some places over $6 a gallon. So when people are paying an arm and a leg to drive down the street in terms of gas prices, I know gas efficient cars become very popular. You'll see, remember one of the first slides where people usually review the host. So you'll see like great communication, 0 issues or complaints. So you'll see reviews like that come in a lot. This one's also for the Volt. We got to keep in mind with our automated messaging and the way that we explain things, especially like in my market where it's an international tourist market, we got to keep in mind that not everyone will speak English as a first language. So how do we accommodate that? Is our explanations clear enough that if someone copy and paste it into Google Translate, will everything make sense to them? So this person is French. They traveled to LAX with their family, requested 2 car seats. So I had to make sure to put the messages in there about, like, you know, for liability reasons, please set up the car seats. Luckily, this person had an amazing time too. I don't speak French, but the 5-star review at least is a good sign that some of these things are easy enough to follow that even if English isn't your first language, you can still have a good experience on the platform with simple enough instructions. This is the review I had alluded to earlier, where the person left a 4-star review, which again is an amazing learning opportunity, not something to take personally. Don't take it personally. I would have loved to have found out why, because then I could try to improve and see what I did wrong. However, as you can see, there's no comment. Just 4 stars. Great. At least it wasn't like 1 star. That would be kind of awful, especially if no explanation. But my goal is always to provide just like top-notch service. So it is a little tough to see reviews like that. I do try to avoid that as much as possible. So I did message them separately off of the app as well to try to get some more information. That text actually got ghosted. So it's possible I'll never learn what I could have done better with this particular trip. Nothing comes to mind as something that people had mentioned to me before as something to kind of like improve on or look at. So, it happens. Hope it doesn't happen too often. Otherwise, even if it does happen a lot and you're not getting a comment, it's important to kind of review your processes and practices, try to find out why. This review is for a car I no longer have on the platform, sadly. This is the car that got totaled that I had mentioned in other videos as well. But it kind of goes back to what kind of experience we're creating. This particular traveler, I always block off reviews and make it anonymous for people's privacy, but I remember this particular traveler was actually the longest Turo trip I had ever hosted. She had the car for almost 3 months. So I had to, for the first time in my Turo hosting career, I had to kind of message her like, hey, if there's an oil change needed, I don't know how to coordinate this, but let me know. So it's kind of funny to try to, message about that and make sure that the car is in tip-top shape and safe for the guests. You'll see, again, they're leaving reviews about the host, not about the vehicle necessarily. I would recommend, too, that, especially like newer Turo hosts, put a phone charger in there. Let's say you've had like this long day of traveling and you're well prepared, so you have an external battery with you charging your phone. And your phone still is about to die because you've been traveling for 24 hours in a row. You're flying over here from Europe. Imagine the feeling of like your phone is dying, you're in a brand new city, you have no idea how to get the car, and you have to like buy another phone charger from the airport. You have to like be in a stressful state trying to like find the car. I would rather just like have the charger in the car ready to go. I think that's a better experience for people. Something to keep in mind. This review kind of goes back to what I was saying earlier, where let's say some sort of issue or challenge or question comes up for people on their trip. We've got to make sure that we're responding to those things quickly. Let's say that the request comes in at 10 p.m. I think for most people, it's like a normal hour to be awake. I think because I get up at 5, I think it's tough for me to immediately respond to 10 p.m. questions. So as part of my automated messaging for check-in, I'll kind of give people like my business hours. Like, if I don't immediately respond, please contact Turo support. I think even just that little message makes people more supported than if you were to message your Turo host, wait for a response and never get one, because the assumption is it's a 24/7 chat. So I try to like kind of answer those concerns too with some of the automated messages I send in the pre-check-in messaging. I really hope that Ford fixes the recall soon for the backup camera for my Mustang convertible, because it is a really fun car for people to rent. Business-wise, it is the most profitable vehicle I've ever had on the platform. Please, Ford, if you're listening to this, please fix the recall. So you'll see the review of this. In the vehicle description in the listing, make sure to include things that are frequently asked questions. With the Mustang, it's legally listed as having 4 seats. It has 4 seat belts. The back seat is so small that even your small friend that's like 5'1" or 5'2", they ain't fitting. It's not comfy. They legally fit. It's not comfortable. So even people that have children, even that's not super comfy. So I literally put that in the listing. Is like kind of a light-hearted description that I just gave this video too. Is like, I know it says 4 seats, but please be aware of the size of the car. I actually drove this car to Coachella, a local music festival, and I put 3 adults into the car, me and 2 friends, and I put all of our suitcases, all of our luggage and everything in the trunk and in the 4th seat. And one of my friends had a cat as well, so we had all of that stuff. It was definitely like a very packed car. So it's just important to kind of keep in mind the size of a car when you're traveling. But then again, we didn't do a good job of that either. So I get from the guest perspective how that's hard to plan for. It's just another thing to keep in mind with your descriptions. That's the basics of Turo reviews. I think it's important for us as Turo hosts to create a good experience. Because we ultimately want repeat customers, if not for our particular individual fleets, at least for the platform in general, if they're traveling to a city that we don't yet service. If there was some value that you got from this video, I'd love if you had a chance to click the like button. If there's some content that you'd like to see that you might be finding helpful on the platform, I hope you leave a comment about that. And to not miss any important updates, I hope you have a chance to subscribe to the video. I do want to say thank you for checking out this YouTube channel, and I hope you have a great rest of your weekend.